Welcome to R&R's Ask the Expert. I'm your host, Mildred Ingram, R&R's editor-in-chief, and today I'm joined by special guest, Debbie Bogar. Debbie is the winner of R&R's 2023 Women in Restoration Award, which is our annual award recognizing leading women in the restoration industry. This is the award program's 8th year, and Debbie rose to the top of a very impressive list of 26 nominees. All nominations are reviewed by a panel of judges based on journey, experience in the industry, job growth, future reach, industry and community involvement, as well as awards and certifications. Debbie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, so let's get started with your role at Woodard Cleaning and Restoration. What are your high-level objectives and day-to-day responsibilities?
So as the CFO, I'm a member of Woodard's executive team. And so anything financial and risk management is my responsibility. My team prepares the monthly financials. That's probably the most well-known responsibility of it. But we also handle forecasting, cash planning, and management, budgeting. And then we work with our outside consultants like accountants, attorneys, and insurance and banking representatives.
Okay, so that's pretty much an overview as well as Woodard, of Woodard. So can you share your impressive list of certifications and awards with us?
Oh, this is a funny one. I'm a certified public accountant. That's the only thing I'm certified in. And my role, I would say that I've been flying under the radar or trying to all of these years. So that's kind of it. And I like to participate where I can and help where I can. And that's kind of where it's been for me all these years.
Okay. So how did you end up where you are today? Like, what was your path to restoration and through it?
Yeah, so restoration was wasn't, the target of my job search all those years ago. It was, I remember I met with Charlie Woodard, who's our second generation owner. Our owner now is Justin, and Charlie is his dad. And I met Charlie through a headhunter, and he had just hired a head of HR just a few months prior to me joining the company. And I met with Charlie and with her that day, hit it off. And that, I think that was a Friday, and by Monday I had an offer. We had been operating with bookkeepers and a small accounting staff for all of those years. And Charlie was specifically looking for a degreed accountant at the time because we didn't have one. And so that was his focus. And I came in and I was able to, I tease him now, I was going to stay for about 5 years and get some more experience and then move on. And here I am, I'm about to hit my 30th anniversary at Woodard in a couple of months. And so, I think about why I was going to leave, and it would have been to get more experience, try different things, learn different things. And I was able to do all of that here at Woodard. So I went from the accounting manager to the controller and then the CFO. And then I had a stint as an operations manager and CFO/COO for a while too, until we got too big for that to be really a reasonable job. And so we split it back out. But I've gotten to a taste of just about every aspect of working in a restoration organization. So
that's amazing. And honestly, I mean, I understand growth at businesses is definitely key to to keeping employees. So accounting, so you've done so much. What areas of restoration do you consider your specialties?
Well, it's definitely the business side of it. I've worked in a lot of a sort of process work through the years throughout the organization. And I think just spending so much time on the leadership side of things, I've been able to look at the company as a whole as we have grown. You can imagine how much we've grown over 30 years, that's for sure. And, I think I've spent more time operationally in fire than anything else. We were able to work together with that team to lay out our cleaning center. And, I was able to participate in that project, which was pretty fun. But as far as getting out on jobs, I would say fire is where we've mostly been able to get out and help our team members. Water a lot. We've had a lot of water work over the years, and that comes up too. And just helping out even administratively on the larger jobs, I've been able to do that as well, and help our team members learn how to organize jobs and that sort of thing. So I would consider it more general business expertise than anything.
Okay. So you seem passionate about the learning aspect and the teaching aspect. What aspects of your work do you enjoy most, and why?
You know what? It is about the learning. It is, I've talked about this a time or two with other people. I believe in active learning, and every interaction with someone is an opportunity to learn from them. Just learning about not only what they're talking about, but the questions that they ask. You get insight into how people think. And, I like to try new things. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been interested in helping to figure out how to lay out our cleaning center in the most efficient way possible. Just figuring those things out. That learn every day is super important to me. Woodard's core values are serve others, do what's right, and learn every day. And those all, I think, resonate with me quite a bit. And so I'd say all three of them are important. But I think learning every day, we all have that opportunity to do that almost every single moment.
Absolutely. So what about restoration projects? Is there a memorable project that stands out in your mind?
Yeah, I think that anytime you get like the first big one, that you really cut your teeth on and you really learn a lot about, it really sticks out in your mind. And we had our first, what I would call, large loss. I think it was back in 2008 or 2007, and it was a big power plant at Lambert St. Louis International Airport. And we had 24/7 crews, and it was really our first big interaction with consultants on the job. And so we really, really learned a lot on that job. We've had some churches that stand out from, learning how to safely do the scaffolding and get all the way up to the top of the church. Our travel jobs. The first time we traveled for a job, it was to help a company in Indiana out with a fire job. And we had been a little nervous about traveling and all the logistics that go along with that. And that was the first one. It was kind of, close in our backyard, only 4 hours away or so. And so we were able to do that sort of in a low risk environment the first time. And again, every time you do that, you learn. And so it made us more confident in taking on additional travel jobs over the years. So we've done a lot of school work too. And that's always satisfying to get those kiddos back into school, even if they think they don't want to be there. And our crews, watching our crews, make friends and with the people there and the kiddos. One stands out. We got a picture back of our crews as the kids were headed to their senior prom. They got a gym cleaned up in time for them to have prom.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, those are all the fun ones that stick out.
That's great. So a lot of what we talked about so far points to leadership as much as growth. How would you describe your leadership style?
So I don't know if anybody could have one word. I'm laughing. I said that's a tough one. I will also say that I've softened over the years. It's going to be funny to hear what the people that I've known for a long time would say about this. I've just learned how important over the years that something like listening is, of course, and teaching has always been a kind of a passion of mine. It was, when I chose my degree, it was either going to be accounting or teaching. So I've always had a soft spot in my heart for that. And now I would say, I think I just try to adapt my style to what the situation requires, kind of knowing my audience and whether it needs decisiveness or collaboration or guidance. That's what I try to read the situation and adapt to that.
Adapting. Okay. So switching gears a bit, staffing is, of course, the top challenge restoration companies face. What has your experience with staffing been, and what, in your opinion, needs to be done to help the industry address this challenging area?
Well, in my time here, I've experienced a really, really tough employment market like this. I can think of 3 or 4 times over the years, and it will eventually end, but you just got to stick it out and get through it. I think from our perspective right now, our team's done a great job being really creative about how they reach potential employees. They need to, get the information in front of them about the job and the company, and they need to attract them to, actually fill out that application, then come in for the interview, right? We've all had problems being ghosted. And so we're no different than anybody else in that arena. But we've really tried to emphasize what our culture is here at Woodard, and we want to make the employee experience as good as it can be and make sure that's communicated to our prospective employees, and convince them that they should choose us over the local box store, or certainly fast food, or our competitors. We also try to appeal to that aspect of helping others. The work that we do can be so rewarding, and that's just another thing that can appeal to people, that's different than stocking shelves, for instance. But it's definitely more than just running the standard ad like we've been able to do from time to time.
Okay, and that makes sense. And culture is big
Yes.
whenever joining a company. So, Debbie, you are the winner of the Women in Restoration Award. So I must ask, what has it been like navigating a male-dominated industry?
Well, it's actually an environment I grew up in. So it's always been comfortable for me. I almost haven't given it a second thought. I had 3 brothers and 3 stepbrothers. Growing up. They were my friends and my playmates. That's, I learned to hang with the guys. One of my brothers in particular was pretty close to me in age, and his friends were my friends, and we hung out with them. And so then, of course, I got married, and we had 3 sons. And so our kids and all their friends were hanging around our house, all the time. I'd laugh. I've had a female dog, and it's she and I against the rest of the guys. So, but it's been a wonderful environment. And then, the other thing is, I've found that most people are just great. They're great people, right? And I think it's about trying to be a genuinely good, helpful, kind person. And I think, you go in and you're confident in your abilities, but not overconfident, and you just bring something to the table that's worthy of earning people's respect. And it's just worked over the years. And that, interestingly enough, of course, applies to both men and women, right? So yep. There's a little bit of bravery that goes along with, being involved in something that could typically be men. But I think women, by and large, have made such inroads in this industry that it's certainly a different place than it was a few years ago.
Yep, I agree. And so specifically, and I think you touched on it actually just a second ago, but what advice do you have for other women and underrepresented individuals looking to advance in the industry as you have?
Yeah, it is kind of what I just said. It's like being confident enough to, stick your foot into it, right? And there's this, I think about bringing new employees onto our team, and what I've advised my kids over the years as they've gone into the job market. And the stuff that I think about and tell them is, be humble enough to learn the industry first. Don't assume you know everything. And one of the things we see here at Woodard is, there's usually, if we're not doing something, there's usually a reason behind it, right? We need to understand the why first before we presume anything. It's also about being genuine. Don't try to be someone you're not. I think, things like don't do things halfway. If something's worth doing, it's worth giving your best effort. I can't tell you how many my kids have said, do you have to tell me that again, Mom? But it's important for people. It was important for me that my kids understand that. I don't expect people to hand you things. You have to earn things. And there's such a sense of satisfaction, I think, that goes along with, earning what you get. And genuinely going into an industry and trying to contribute, knowing that we all have our own special gifts that can help the industry. All that stuff rolls into all these old adages that it's funny. I grew up hearing them too. Now my kids have grown up hearing them, but they all still apply today, right?
Yep, absolutely. So as we near the end of the interview, I'm curious, what would you say the biggest career-related lesson you've learned up to this point is?
So would be hard for me to narrow it down to one. Yeah, but I have some things that come to mind right off the top. And one is that we all make mistakes, right? And it's important that we learn from them. And then we apologize when needed and then move on, don't dwell on them. And I also would say, be gracious when others make mistakes, because we're all going to do it, right? Another one is, and of course I learned this one the hard way, there's always at least two sides to every story. So before you get one side and make a decision on how to handle something, it's important to get the other side, because it all just needs to play into making the best decisions and judgments that you possibly can. So I also have learned, I mentioned it earlier, you can learn something from everyone, from every interaction. You can learn how others do things and listen to them, ask questions. Why they think the way they do can be something you learn from them. But it's about, for me, being an active learner. I'm responsible for what I learn and how I learn and how much I learn. I can play a really active role in that. And I think that that's important. One, I think last thing would be never be too good to do anything in your business. I learned that's one of, I think, the first lessons I learned from Charlie Woodard, as we're having a conversation about the business, as we're walking up around the parking lot, picking up trash that had blown around, the night before. And we can all contribute in the biggest and the smallest ways. And it's important to be ready to do either.
So what you just gave are life lessons. I'm also really big on what I call servant leadership. I think that's a really big deal. Just being willing to do whatever it is that makes things better, no matter what level you are, what your title is. So what are your go-to resources for inspiration and education?
So I think about my career, and I have learned the most from other people. I was given the opportunity years ago to participate in a key exec group through Vistage here in town. And that, I would say, is really at the heart of my education that's been outside of the accounting world. We had, first-class speakers come in every month, and I got exposure in the sales management, more HR than I'd had before, operations. And of course, there's this great cross-section of people in my group that I was able to learn from. So I really credit that Vistage group with giving me general business experience that wasn't just on the finance side. I think just participating in industry events like RIA and other organizations that we've been a part of, getting to meet other people in the industry, and then really the highlight industry-wise has been visiting other companies to see how they do things. You can always go out, no matter how big or small the company, and find something that they do really, really well, and then bring it back to your own organization and fit it in a good way. And so while I like podcasts and listening to Audible books and all that kind of stuff, I think that's important. The interaction with other people in the industry, I think, has been one of the biggest things for me over the years.
Absolutely. Human contact. Yep.
Yeah. And we really try. I think it's super important for our people here at Woodard to experience the same thing, because there's just so much growth opportunity when you interact with your peers and others in the industry to learn. That's really, I think, key.
Yeah, I agree. People want to teach others a lot of the times,
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So last but not least, can you share a little bit with us about yourself outside of work and what you do in your free time?
Mhm. Yeah, so I mentioned my husband and my three sons, and so of
Hmm.
course my world pretty much revolves around them and what they're doing.
Hmm.
They are they're all in their 20s now. We are empty nesters, and so it's really fun to hang out with these three adults that are part of our family now. It's funny, when my youngest was getting ready to go to college a few years ago, I was worried about being bored. So I
Hmm.
started, picking up all sorts of hobbies. So we bought a camper and we travel around the country seeing different big and small towns. And we're actually headed to Niagara Falls over the 4th of July. So I'm really excited. We haven't been
That's
there
really
yet.
cool.
And our sons wrestled through little league in high school and one of them in college, and so we still help out with tournaments for all three organizations. And in fact, we're working another wrestling tournament here in a couple weeks, just because we like the sport. It's given a lot to us, and we love the people in it. And then stuff like I took golf lessons so I could play golf with my guys. I'm not at their level yet, but I can go out and play 9 holes, so that's
It's
kind of fun.
tough.
Yeah, it is tough. And then I think I've mentioned I'm a little bit of a hobby photographer, and I picked up pottery a few years ago too. So I am not one that likes to be bored. So I'll try different things and just see where else it takes me.
That's nice. Growth is a really big part of who you are,
Yeah.
on every spectrum, it seems. So thank you so much for your time and insight. And congratulations again on being the winner of the 2023 R&R Women in Restoration Award. You are absolutely deserving. Before we go, where can our listeners connect with you or learn more about Woodard Restoration and Cleaning?
Our website is woodard247.com. And we have our phone number, 314-961-9102. If anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to chat with folks. That's another awesome thing about this industry, is I've never had anybody tell us, no, they can't help us. So we're always willing to share with folks in the industry. And then I think that would be the easiest way to find me.
Thanks. So listeners and viewers, you can learn more about Debbie, our first and second runners up in the April 2023 R&R e-magazine, and exclusively for the month of April this year, our print magazine, as well as on our website. Please keep your eyes open and ears peeled for nominations to reopen for next year's Women in Restoration Award in the second half of 2023. And for more insights on restoration, remediation, and people behind it all, visit our website, rnrmagonline.com, Apple, or Spotify. If you haven't yet, be sure to follow the podcast to keep up with our latest episodes and give us a quick review and rating. We are also on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, so we invite you to follow us there too. This has been R&R's Ask the Expert. Thank you for listening.